Humans would do anything to avoid thinking about death, build empires, chase success, even create the concept of a legacy. Today we're diving into the big, unavoidable question, why do humans fear death so much? And more importantly, would we even care about meaning if life wasn't finite and we weren't running out of time? Welcome to Existential Office Hours with your host, Lori. And I like to call this one of the human conditions. I feel like I coined that, human condition, but I definitely did not, so don't quote me on that. So today with this topic, it's one of those thoughts that are super existential, and I've been thinking about it for quite some time now, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh no, I can't talk about this with people, they're gonna think I'm crazy and suicidal and all this jazz. But these thoughts are super valid, and just because they don't fit into the norm of society doesn't mean I shouldn't talk about them. And like I said before, if even one person leaves today feeling like they've been heard and seen, I'm happy, and I know I can't be the only one thinking like this, so let's dive right in. So we're getting really existential today, so I'm super duper excited. I'm just going straight into it. But before we get started, I do have some disclaimers and some prefaces that I would like to start with. First, if you are actively suicidal, please do not listen to this. Much love to you and to everyone, but this is a pretty big and intense topic, and I will be getting into some of the nitty-gritty of it, so please just don't listen. Maybe listen another time, but not today. And also, like always, take what you need from this and leave what you don't. Always approach with an open mind, and I'm super interested in hearing what everyone has to say in the comments or in DMs if you feel free to DM me. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this. This is going to be really, really interesting. I have my notes here. If you see me looking down, that's what I'm referring to, because I have really bad memory, guys. I'm not joking. It's really bad. So that's what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to focus on you guys here. Okay, so let's get into it. So I wanted to talk about this idea of the fear of death, and it's been kind of instilled in us from such a young age. And I was actually recently reading a book called The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. He's an anthropologist and a writer. He's passed away now, but I was reading that book because it really drawn to me, the title really stood out to me, and I'll get more into that book later on and what that talked about and all that lovely jazz. But otherwise, humans kind of have ingrained in us, like I was saying, this instinct or whatever drive to fear death and at least not want to die. Some people call it a survival instinct, other people call it a will to live. If you have both of them, you're lucky. Good for you. Not everyone's that lucky. But anyways, so obviously I'm aware that societal factors play a huge role in this idea and this thought of our fear of death and not wanting to die and things like that. But it's sort of this society, and when I say society, I also want to preface and clarify that I mean Western society. This is coming, I'm in Canada, so this is coming from a very Western perspective. It could be different in other parts of the world, that's great, but I'm gonna be speaking on what I know, so very opinion based. So anyways, it's kind of seen as the worst thing that could possibly happen, death. If you die, it's over. It's seen as this huge thing that we have to avoid and we should be avoiding. And I've never fully understand that. Obviously when I was a child, and brain can't really process big concepts and complex thought, I didn't want to die. I wasn't oh my gosh, why is it such a big deal to not want to die. No. But now that I have, and I've like sat and thought about it and like simmered in my existential crises, I'm like, why do we care that much about the idea and like fear death so much? It really boggles my mind. And at least the older people that I'm around, like, you know, the millennials in my family and older, find talking about death and the fact that even the possibility that it could be meaningless, like life could be meaningless, is such a taboo. Like, of course, and my family is also very religious. I don't find myself super religious. I do believe in God, but like just the idea, the thought that like one's life, like your life, could be meaningless is like not even like, that's not even an idea, that's not a concept, like no it's not type thing. So obviously I kind of felt like I couldn't really talk about that with anyone because that was my norm and that was what I was grown into. Like, you just don't talk about life like that. Life cannot be meaningless. That's not an idea, that's not a concept, that you're stupid if you think that type thing. So if someone ever thought of things like, questioned the thought of like life being meaningless, or they have no meaning to life, they would like immediately be seen as like suicidal. And that's not always the case. Like, it's kind of weird to me that like we approach this like very big thought and this very big idea like death, and like someone just thinking life could be meaningless, as something that is like, no, shun it. Like, if you think that, you need to go into a psychiatric facility right now because you're clearly suicidal. Like, I don't see it like that. And I'm personally a firm believer in the fact that life is meaningless. At least I can say for my life. I'm not going to be like, hey everyone, your life is meaningless. But I'm a firm believer that my life is meaningless. And I'm going to get more into that because I know that might sound crazy. Or maybe I just think it sounds crazy because of societal norms and factors. But yeah. So it's not to say you can't find meaning or have meaning in your life. I'm not saying that. I find meaning in a lot of ways in my life, and you know, I find things that I enjoy to do. But the idea that you have this like great purpose, or at least I'll speak for me, the idea that I have this great purpose and I have this like thing to fulfill and find out what my purpose is and then acknowledge it and just carry it out for the rest of my days, that's a lot. That was causing me like more discomfort than comfort because I was like going down a spiral. I think maybe sometime last year, I don't know, but I was going down a spiral with like, what is the meaning of life? Like, we're all going to die. What is the meaning of life? Like, overall, what's the meaning of life? And obviously like everyone can say like you have to find meaning in whatever, but like literally, why are we here? So I was just going down that spiral, and I'm like, was asking different people and, you know, collecting my own data, and they were like, oh, you have to like, you know, find the thing you love doing and whatever. And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. Like, it's a lot of pressure to like find one thing you love doing and then stick to it for the rest of your life, or find multiple things you like doing and stick to it. And then I was thinking like, okay, well, if I make this one decision, big or small, is that going to like set me on the path away from my purpose, or like set me on the path to my purpose, but then something down the line can set me up my path off my purpose? And it was just like a lot. It was making me uncomfortable. I did not like it. I was spiraling, tumbling, stressing, and I hated it. And I just couldn't enjoy my life if I was continuing to think about that, because I was really thinking about that thought like every day, all the time. So I find not, or I found I couldn't enjoy my life more knowing that I have to fulfill this like big purpose and meaning, and quite frankly, I don't want it. I don't want a meaning. I know that might sound like wacky, but I don't want that. I want to be able to enjoy my life for me, however, make whatever decision I want without having to worry, oh, down the line, you should have made that one decision 5 years ago that would have put you in a better place right now, that would have made you fulfill your purpose. It's just like a lot, and I don't want that. That seems like stressful, and I don't know why anyone would want to live like that, but that's just me. So accepting that life is meaningless, at least like I did, it doesn't work for everyone. A lot of people find comfort in the fact that their life might have meaning and things like that, but I did not. Kudos to those people, because I really truly was hating that. Um, and personally, I don't want my life to have meaning. I really don't. And it makes me happy. I want to live however makes me happy. So I've just abandoned the idea of my life having a purpose. And it's been great. It truly, really has. I challenge all of you to, if you do believe your life has meaning, or if you don't, vice versa, I challenge you to like think what your life would look like if it had no meaning and if it was meaningless. Truly, I do. It's been really liberating for me. But, like I said, I don't want to send anyone into like an existential crisis. So, like I said, it's not for everyone. Not everyone can live like that, and that's okay. It's just a little like thought exercise if you're interested. Obviously, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. So, with that, I also consider myself a positive nihilist. It's kind of similar to absurdism. I kind of don't really know the difference, but I'm going to stick to positive nihilist for now because that's what I know. And I have the definition here. So, to be a positive nihilist, at least to me, means to accept the notion that life is inherently meaningless, and I just take that as an opportunity for freedom to do what makes me happy. So I know like there's existentialism, nihilism, and absurdism that are like the big three. So I've accepted positive nihilism. Nihilism itself is just like accepting life has no meaning and nothing matters type thing. But I just kind of like to accept that and do with that as I want to make me happy. And it does make me happy. So the whole idea of having meaning and purpose in our life only matters, in my opinion, quite frankly, because life is going to end and because life is finite. I'll say that again. The only reason having meaning and purpose in our lives matters is because we know life is going to end. Just like do you think if life was infinite, do you think having or finding your purpose or your meaning would matter as much? Like, would you want to like leave your footmark on the earth or something? And either way, would you even want to live forever? I feel like vampires are miserable. Well, maybe also because they can't go in the sun. But yeah, like I don't know. Maybe that's just because I already find my life meaningless. So, I'm fine. I'm chilling. But yeah, I feel like we really only care because we know that life is going to end one day. Which isn't a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, is it fake? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, food for thought. Again, a lot of food for thoughts today. So yeah, and society in the Western world, at least again, has built into us, I think, to like kind of make us believe that life has meaning and distract us from the fact that we're all going to die. And of course you can say like, oh, everyone knows they're gonna die, but I think everyone knows it and also tries to avoid it at the same time and avoid that conversation at the same time, at least on a deeper level. Not like, oh, when I die I'm gonna do this with my body or something, like, like that's a pretty superficial, like bare scratching the surface type conversation, not like actually like getting into the nitty-gritty of like when you died, like how that'll look and how that'll play out, and things like religion and like leaving a legacy. And like I said, like I come from a religious family, so I can completely understand. They're all things that are built up to help people put meaning into their lives, whether you want to believe it or not. That's my opinion, at least. And it also just helps people feel special when they die, and their loved ones feel special when they die, because, you know, people take solace in solitude in the fact that, I don't even know if that's the right word. I'm gonna hope it is the right word. People take comfort in the fact that they know their loved ones are going to a better place. Because, you know, God forbid they go nowhere. Yeah, so, and obviously, like, humans are meaning making creatures, so this is something that we need to do. Like, it's widely accepted that these things and these meanings, like, truly matter. Like, obviously we're going to make meaning of it, and we've also evolved to a place where we can think and have complex thoughts and ideas and things like that. So yeah, we're going to make meaning and find meaning in things, but it just all kind of seems like a distraction. And I really appreciated, I can't find the quote, I'm really sad I can't find the quote, but in Ernest Becker's book, I really appreciated the fact that he was talking about how, I thought I highlighted the quote, guys. I'm so sorry. I thought I highlighted it, but I didn't. Anyways, he was talking about the fact that we're all just kind of distracting ourselves. And I guess that's kind of a pessimistic way to look at it. I feel like pessimist is such a harsh word. But we're all just kind of distracting ourselves. And I guess you could argue that we're all kind of trying to make meaning with things instead of distracting ourselves. Like, who wants to just like lay around doing nothing all day simply because they know they're going to die, you know? So one can also argue that, but yeah, like, we're literally just doing things to distract us. Anyways, moving on. Like I said, society's just made it like widely acceptable to do these things that make meaning and make our life feel meaningful, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But then it comes also with this like notion and this idea that death and the idea of death and life being meaningless is so sad and so crazy. And like, if you ever like think your life has no meaning, or like if you die and there's no other place you're gonna go, like, that's the worst thing that could ever happen. Like, someone dying, like, that's crazy. Like, that's huge. Even though it's the inevitable, it's huge and it's crazy. And I didn't really see it. Like, obviously death is sad, especially when it's someone, your loved one. Like, I'm not saying it's not sad. I'm just saying, why do we see it this way? Like, when we know it's the inevitable, but, and I'm not saying like people shouldn't mourn either, that's not what I'm getting at. But it's like, why do we have such a negative idea and negative connotation surrounded around death, just generally? Like, we have so many things in place to avoid death, especially for our elderly people. Like, we want to like keep them alive. Like, we have them on 80 different medications a day just to keep them alive. You're 98, but you have to live life more. You must live life more. Let's amp up your meds. I don't get it. I really don't. And this brings me to my next thing. I was watching Midsummer, I believe that's what it's called, with my friends last summer or fall, whatever. And it was the scene, I need to refer to this. It was the scene called the Atestupa. I definitely said that wrong. The Atestupa ritual, where the elderly people, you know, they had the big meal, and then the elderly people went up on the cliff, plummeted to their death and died, and all the visitors from the Western cultures were like so freaked out and scared about it. And the tribal people were just like acknowledging it, embracing it, kind of just like having like a moment for the seniors in their lives and in their families, because they just plummeted to their death. They just died. And it really contrasts with the Western world's ideas, because here we would do anything to keep our elderly people alive, like shove a breathing tube down their throat, like regardless of how old they are, like we must keep them alive, we must. But in this tribe in Midsummer, they rather accept that death is the inevitable, and they choose death. They don't let death choose them. I think the couple that died was 70 years old. I don't know, I don't remember, but yeah, they choose death. And with that, their tribe acknowledges like this is their time, this is their calling, and they've lived a full life. Like they don't need to like continue to do something. And they see death, or they see life rather, in their tribe like in cycles, like, and death is just another part of the cycle. And once you turn this age, you die. Like that's how it goes. And it wasn't like approached with like this like weird like, no, you can't die, like you must live. Like they've done their time, and they acknowledge that, and they see the beauty in that, and they leave. And no one was like sad by it, no one was fazed by it. It's just like their norm. And I feel like too, with that, they're not having these existential crises that we have about like death and life being meaningless, because they find meaning in death, and they see that as like a beautiful thing. And like I said, it's crazy because death is inevitable, so why prolong it at all costs? Like to make it meaningful? Like, are we trying to make our like seniors in like senior homes, are we trying to make their life meaningful by having them on 80 different medications? Someone tell me in the comments. Truly, I'm open to hearing, genuinely. But it's something I really grapple with, because when I saw that scene, I was like, that's like really beautiful. And I thought it was really beautiful because, they are all just like acknowledging their presence and having a moment. The Western people were screaming, so that was distracting. But I'm sure they like mourned in their own way or whatever, but I feel like in a way, knowing life is finite and you're going to like die at this age for sure, you kind of like live life even fuller, and you kind of, the tribal people appreciate their elders even more. So I found that really beautiful. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys saw, if you thought that was crazy. I don't know how many people have seen Midsummer, but I really liked the film. It was really beautiful. Yeah, I really grapple with that, because I don't know why we try to prolong life so much. Obviously it's sad losing a relative and a friend and all that jazz, but to the point where it's in like excess, I feel like we need to introspect a bit and question why we're doing that. Personally, I don't want to live past like 80, guys. I have no business living past 80, okay? Like, that's just me. But, and I know it's gonna sound crazy, I've said this to people and they've been like, oh, what about retirement? Guys, I want to retire early, okay? I want to retire when I'm 50. I have no business working when I'm over 50 years old. And obviously that comes from a place of like privilege, but I have like so many like things and savings in place to make sure I'm not working past 50. And with that, ideally I'd like to die about like 75 type thing, a solid like 25 years retirement. But the second I'm on like more than 8 medications a day, no, I'm not doing this. I need to, no. So, and I'm okay with that. Maybe someone wants to live till they're 100, but not me, please. No. That does not sound like a vibe. It doesn't. Let me know how old you guys want to live till. No, don't do that. It's okay. Don't do that. But yeah, I think life would be bland if we lived forever. And we weren't vampires, like we could go in the sun and stuff. I think it would be bland. Like, would you work as hard? Would love mean the same thing? Like, if you could literally just like fall in love like forever? I don't know. I don't think so. And with that, I have a quote here from The Denial of Death by Ernest. So let me get my thing so I can see it. What does it mean to be a self-conscious animal? The idea is ludicrous, if not, it's monstrous. I don't know why I just said that like that. It means to know that one is food for worms. This is the terror, to have emerged from nothing, to have a name, consciousness, sense of self, deep inner feelings, an excruciating inner yearning for life and self-expression, and with all this yet to die. It seems like a hoax, which is why one type of cultural man rebels openly against the idea of God. What kind of deity would create such a complex and fancy worm food? Ernest is low-key messy. But yeah, I just think that's like really interesting. It's just basically saying, you know, we're born with all this complex thought and we're born into this world. We have a name, this family, we have things to accomplish, essentially, all to be fed to the worms, referring to like being buried and stuff. All of this to be fed to the worms. And you know, like, what is the point of it all is basically what I took from that, what he's saying. And I wonder how many people would have like a stress-free life and like less existential crises if we just like embraced death and didn't see it as this scary thing to avoid. Kind of like, well, maybe not exactly like the people in Midsummer, but yeah, kind of like them. Like, if we just like acknowledge like, yeah, like, I'm gonna die one day, like, how would our conversations around death and like life being meaningless also like change? I feel like ever since I've at least acknowledged that life is meaningless, it's been so liberating for me, and I've been able to just like do the things I love and do things genuinely also, not just because, oh, I have to go to school because I need a degree to get a good job and get a lot of money. Like, no, like, I'm doing things because I genuinely love them. Like, I know life is meaningless, but I'm still making this podcast because I love talking about this stuff. And at the end of the day, it brings me joy. I don't care about the future. There might not be a future. So yeah, it's been really liberating for me. And with that, I will close. So whatever you take from this, whether it's acceptance that, you know, life is meaningless, whether it's living in denial forever, no, that's being messy. But I know that positive nihilism has helped me. And either way, you're gonna die one day, but so will your problems. So with that, maybe you can take some comfort in that. But I do have a question for you all before I go. I want to know if you think your life has meaning or purpose, and if so, why? Or you don't have to say why. You can just let me know if you think your life has meaning or purpose, but let me know in the comments. I'm really, really interested to know. I know this was like a crazy second episode, but yeah, let me know. Bye. Love you all.